Hello and welcome to what is going to hopefully be the last version in this password manager series. I think this is version 10, or as we've been calling it, if we increment our version right now, if we go into our main function, this will actually be version 2.0. Sure, why not? This will be version 2. Hooray! And hopefully by the end of this video, we will have our password manager ready and it will just work and it will all be good and everything will be fine. So if you remember back to the last episode, I don't know what to call these, the last version, we started implementing a graphical user interface, and we had this file here called interface.py. You can see I've got all my files opened up as tabs today because I'm nice and prepared and actually getting used to working in repl.it, which is nice. And so if we run this, we can see that we've actually got a UI. Now, I have spent 0 time making this look good, okay? If you want to have a look at how we can actually make this look good, please go and explore, do what you want to do. And tinker with it. But the purposes of this video, I'm going to just go for function over form, and I'm going to allow you to be the creative and ingenious people that you are, and make it look better. We'll just get it working. So I can log in and I can type in my username, I can type in my password, and I can get to my account screen, which is lovely. So whenever we go to one of these options now, the app just closes. Okay, so we need to now fill out all the functionality for that account screen, and we will have a working, well, not functionality, the user interface for that account screen, and then we'll have a working application. Now, there are a couple of things that I want to do. Firstly, I want to say window, just down here, just after we make the window, dot title, oh, not window, window dot title, and we are going to give it the title of password manager. Giving it a class name doesn't actually, that was wrong. That was wrong. It did give it a title, but this will actually give it a proper title, password manager. There we go. The class name thing, I'm not really sure what that does. It does put password manager up here, but not in the way we wanted it to. This is better. This gives it a proper title. One other thing that I want to do, just a kind of quality of life kind of thing. When we log in, and I don't know, we're at the library and we're going into our lovely password manager on a computer, and there's people looking over our shoulders. When we type in our password, it's just coming up in the password box. I've got no privacy here. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into where we create the login screen, and we're going to go down to where we create the password field, so here. And as one of the options in here, we are going to say, I believe it's mode equals, and we're going to give it the asterisk, okay? And what that's going to do, by adding in this line here, and we're going to add in mode equals asterisk as a string, that will tell it to hide our password. So now if I stop this and run it again, unknown option mode. Oh no. Oh, what is it called? It's called show, not mode, obviously. If we go to show, I think I'm thinking of HTML. I don't know. If we go to, we're going to put show equals asterisk, and then if we press run, we can now go to login. And then when we type in the password, you can see it is coming up as stars, okay, which makes our app much nicer, and no one can actually see the password that we're typing in, which is great. Okay, fantastic. So one thing that I'd like to improve, let's just get stuck in, right? One thing before we go creating other account screens, one thing I'd like to improve about this screen here is the fact that we don't have any feedback to the user. So if I entered, I don't know, Bob, and then put in a bad password, press login, nothing happens, okay? And so what I want to do is I want to, I want some feedback to go back to the user, and also I'd quite like to clear these fields as well. So we're going to try and log in. Okay, and actually we're passing in username.get and password.get here. So down here at the login button, when we tell it what to do, remember we've got command equals, and then we've got this lambda thing, and we're saying username.get, password.get. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just pass in the actual string var, so the tk.stringvar thing here. I'm going to pass that in as its actual thing. So I'm going to say username and password, and then we will call .get on the other end. And now what this means we can do is we can also set them. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm just going to put the .gets in here. Oh, capitals. And password.get. Okay, so that will get the values from these boxes. Now, hopefully, this should just work as normal. Let's just test it and make sure. So login, Bob, password 1. Oh, I pressed cancel. That's awkward. Okay, it's remembered it. Okay, and that's gone. Fantastic. So regardless of what happens, we want to clear, like when I just did that there, like you can see it's still got Bob's details in. So regardless of what happens, once we've authenticated the user, we want to clear those fields. So we want to say username dot set, and we want to give a blank string, yeah? And then we want to do the same for password. So we want to say password dot set and an empty string. Regardless of whether it actually worked, whether it authenticated or not, we want to clear out those fields. So now we should be able to run this, log in. We can type in Bob, and we can type in password 1, and we can press cancel, go back to log in, and it's still there. It's not working. Oh, right, because we pressed the cancel button. So we also, when we cancel, what we're doing, we're changing the frame. So every time we change the frame, really, I guess what we want to do is we want to clear all the fields, right? So we want to pass this in a array of the different fields that we want to clear. So I'm going to give it username and I'm going to give it password. Okay. And then we're going to modify our change frame function, and we'll be able to use this again in other places in order to clear the fields out. So in our change frame, we're going to have our frame name, but we're also going to have our list of inputs. Okay. And we are going to say, after we've raised that, we're going to say for item in list of inputs, we are going to say item.set back to blank. Okay, and each those items in here will be our username and our password. So we'll set them back to blank. So now hopefully we should be able to, oh, it doesn't like that. Missing one required argument. Okay, so I'm going to set this equal to an empty array. So we're using this in other places, and we're not kind of using it here. Actually, that's interesting. Change frame. No, yeah, that's fine. So if we don't pass in a list, it will just be an empty list, so it won't do the loop and it will just ignore it. So we should be able to run this now. Press login. Let's just type in Bob and press cancel. Press login and it's cleared for us. Yeah. So if we type Bob, password, but not password 1 and log in, it clears it. Lovely. Bob, password 1, log in. And if I log out and go to log in, it's cleared it. So that's gone. It's not just sat there like it was a couple of minutes ago, which is really nice. So it's a bit sleeker. What I would like to do as well is get a little message up here. So we're going to add to our login screen here. We're going to add another label. So down here, it's going to be like the first thing in the box. So I'm going to put it at the top of this in the code, just so that in my mind it makes sense. But put it wherever you like. We're going to say tk.label. Oh, I'm sure I can spell. We're going to add it to the frame, and the text is going to be equal to a string var. So we want a user message equals tk.stringvar. Oh dear, my typing skills. What has gone on with them? Okay, so and then we're going to say our text equals user message. What else do we need for a label? Oh, we can just straight away .grid it as well. So we can say .grid, and we're going to say row equals 0. And what have we got? 3 columns here. So we're going to say row equals 0, and then we're going to say column equals 0, and we're going to say column span equals 3, and that might center it. It might put it in the middle. Let's see. We should also probably set what our text is here. So how do we I guess we should say down here user message dot set please enter your details below. Okay, so let's just see if that's working. Let's run that and log in. And it's not working because our labels and stuff are also sharing the same space, and so there's a bit of a conflict there. So we need to push our rows down. So this needs to be row 1, this needs to be row 2, this needs to be row 1. We're just adding 1 to each of these here. So this needs to be row 2, this needs to be row 3, and this needs to be row 3. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's all fine. Okay, so hopefully now, when we press login, great, fantastic. But we've got pi var 0. So that's a little bit awkward. So what we actually need to do is we need to say text variable equals username dot get. And that's still not working. Okay. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Oh, it would have been really not. I think I'm trying to do this backwards, and so it's not working. Text variable equals. We want it to equal the value of our username, right? So .get should work. But it's not. Text variable equals not username, user message. Let's just do it again. That would work, right? If we just run it blindly again, no, that's still not working. Okay, user message.get. So it's not liking that. Oh, why am I doing it here? Duh, I'm doing it in the wrong place. I'm sorry if you've been screaming at the screen here. Okay, so text equals user message dot get. So we should be able to press login. Please enter your details below. Fantastic. Okay, that is working. Text is, maybe it's a little wordy, a little large, but that's okay. So now when I press login with nothing in, I want this to change to invalid details. Please try again. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to pass our user message to our login button. So you can see how our login function currently takes a username and a password. We're also going to give it a user message. And up here, when we try and log in, if user logs in, then we change frame. Otherwise, else, we want to say our user message dot set invalid detail. Ooh, invalid credentials. Something like that. You can probably come up with a much better error message than that. And we also need to add it as a parameter here. So I'm going to say up here, I'm going to say user message. So we're expecting this to be passed in when we log in. Okay, let's see if this works. Please work. Log in. Okay, it doesn't work. And I think it's because this here, we're saying essentially this runs once, right? And then it doesn't run again. So maybe we need to do the lambda. What if we did lambda colon? Would that work? I don't know what lambda does, but it feels like, oh no, we don't want to do that. That doesn't work. Okay, so our text, so this is storing what's inside. Oh, okay, yeah. So more research needed, I think. More research needed. Let's come back to this. Let's put a pin in this, and we will continue doing some other frames. It is working to a point where we can log in, and it will say please enter your details below. But we need to be more thoughtful about how we're getting it to change. Okay, let's have a look at our generate password function, and let's start getting some of these account options sorted. So where are we? Generator, I believe. Our generate password wants a length, so how long. So we want to ask the user how long they want their password to be, and we're also asking what they want it to contain: capitals, lower letters, symbols, numbers. Okay, so I'm imagining some kind of box where they can input a number, and some kind of tick boxes where they can tick whether they want capitals, symbols, and uppercase. Uppercase symbols and numbers. We will assume they always want lowercase, because otherwise they could technically have nothing ticked, and then they'd have a password of just emptiness. So that would be silly. So that's what we're going to do. So let's start planning that. Let's say def create generate password, create generate password screen, and we're going to expect to be given the window, just like in all the other screens. And down here, we're going to take this generate password screen, and we're going to add it to our dictionary down here. So we're going to add that as a string. Maybe I'll just call it generate password. None of the others have a screen on the end, so that's fine. And then we will say create generate password screen, and we will give it the window. Okay, so that should be added as a frame now. Obviously, we've got absolutely nothing in this, so we need to start adding some code. Let's just have a look at what we did in the other ones. There's no harm with a little bit of copy and paste here. So we did frame equals tk.frame, so that's how we're going to start this as well. And we're going to, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to return the frame. And then we just need to put everything in it. So it would probably be good if we gave this a title. So just like we had in login, just like we had in the login screen here, where we had a little user message. Let's do this. I like this. So let's take this and let's pop it down here. This isn't going to change, so we don't need the string var stuff. We can get rid of this. But we're just going to say tk.label frame text equals, and then we're just going to say generate password. Okay, just so it's clear what screen we're on. Okay, lovely. So now what we need is a label that will go next to a little box where we can put the number of characters that we want. Okay. I guess we also want space for our password as well. Don't know where our password is probably going to go. Maybe our password will go next. Yeah. So maybe we'll have a space for our password. So we'll say tk.label again. We will add in the frame. We will add in the text. And we will say password. Password. And what we'll do is we will actually add to the text of this. So let's store this label in a variable. So let's call this. What should we call this? Let's call this password output equals. Okay, and then we can add our password onto the end of this when we have it. And then we're going to dot grid this. So we will put this in row equals 1, column equals 0. And we can play around with the configuration later. That's fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do, or should we put it in a text box? Maybe we should put it in an entry, because then you'd be able to copy it easier. Because if we run this and go to log in, can I copy this? No. Can you see I can't actually click and drag and copy this text? So that's useless. So we should put it in an entry rather than a label. So let's change this to entry. And we've got our frame still. And now instead of a text, we're going to have our text variable. And we are, can't spell. And we are going to do what we've done in previous things. So let's just minimize this and let's go up to our login screen. So when we do entry, text variable equals, so we want to grab this, exactly this actually. That's got the exact name that I want as well. So we're going to make our password, and then we're going to say our text variable is equal to password. And what we can do is we can set our password. So we can say password.set, and we're going to set that. I guess we should really call this like password output, right? Because it's not actually the password itself. Output, or I guess we've called that field. We don't need to name that there anymore. So I'm going to say password output, and I'm going to get rid of this. Sorry, I've kind of gone around in circles here, but that's development. So password.set, and then we're going to say passwords. Okay, and then later, once we've actually generated that random password, we'll add it onto this, and we'll update this. So our text variable equals password output, and then we're putting it in a grid there. Okay, fantastic. Let's just separate this so that we can get a kind of distinct sense of what's what. Okay, lovely. So next what we're going to do is we're going to ask for the number of characters. So we're going to grab another label, copy that label, and we're going to pop it down here. Our text is going to be length. Nothing, no need to be any more complicated than that. Okay, it's going to go on row 2, column 0. We're going to get rid of the column span. Okay, just keep it in a single column for now. And now what we're going to do is, if I jump back to this Geeks for Geeks article that I referenced in the last version, okay, they have this really nice box. Where is it? Where is it? It's here somewhere. Where is it? Where's it gone? Here it is. Lovely. So a spin box. So you might recognize this kind of box here, okay, where the user can press up and down on the things here. And also what's really helpful is we can control the value. So we can say from 0 to 10 or whatever we want to do, so that they can't go like minus numbers. They can't go too high. So we're going to take this idea of a spin box, and we are going to pop it into our code. So if we go over to here, we're going to come down past our label, and we are going to say tk.spinbox. Okay, so you can see here we've got master, but actually it wants to be a child of the frame. I am a child of the frame. So we're going to add in our spin box. We're going to say we can have a minimum. What was the minimum? 5, I believe. 4. Let's say from 4 to, let's say 50. 50 seems more than enough for a password. And then let's grid that. So let's just say number input equals. We also want to store the value of this. So we need a text variable, and we're going to set that equal. And we're going to have a length variable, which is going to equal tk.intvar. Oh, intcar, not intcar. Intvar. I'm sure that's fine. That seems fine. Okay, and we're going to say text variable equals length. Okay, so we've got that stored, whatever the user has entered. And then we're going to pack this in, or not pad it, we pack it, we're going to grid it. I guess this can all stay the same. So we're going to say number input dot grid, and we are going to put that on the same row as our label. So row equals 2, but our column is going to equal 1. Okay, lovely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change frame. Instead of having this as main menu, I'm going to change it to our generate password so that we can see how it's looking without having to log in and stuff. So I'm just going to comment out this line here, and I'm going to say change frame, and then we can just use this for testing purposes. So I'm going to say generate password, and that should just work. So let's just give it a quick test. Okay, lovely. So you can see here that it's put password inside this entry. Actually, what would be cleverer is if we had a label plus the entry. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this label here, and we're going to pop it just up here. Okay, and then we're just going to change this to password. So this is going to go on row 1. Lovely. And then this is going to go in column 1, our entry here. So now we should have Actually, I can get rid of this value as well. We don't want to set this at all. We can get rid of this whole line. Now we should have password length. Okay, lovely. They're a little bit janky. They're not quite aligned. It's not looking the sleekest thing I've ever done, but it works. It works. I think we could give a width to these entries. So I think I could say something like width equals, I don't know, 20, and I could copy that and I could put it on the spin box as well. And so now if I run this, maybe 20 is too much. Maybe it just doesn't like width. Let's drop them both to 10, see if that works. Okay, yeah, so I can kind of control their width. Obviously, they're not aligning with each other very nicely, but it is what it is. But so if you wanted to control their width, that is how we could do it. So now we've got a place where we can enter our length, and will it let us go lower than 4? No. Can I type in 2? Yes, I can, but it's going to stop them from actually being able to scroll, which is something we've already kind of implemented a way to stop the user adding it and just like saying no, that doesn't work, try again. So yeah, that's all fine. And now what we need to do is add some of those little boxes. So if we come up back in this article, we should be able to find work smarter, not harder. So no need to reinvent the wheel up here. Here we go. So we've got check buttons. Lovely. And so they are being stored as variables. So they're like ones or zeros, I'm assuming. 1 for ticked, 0 for not ticked. Is that right? Is that right? Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be. Okay, we'll check that, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So let's just take one of these. So I'm just going to take this here, and we will pop it into our code. Now we're going to have a few of these. So I want to get one good, perfect, and then we will and then and then we will be able to figure this out. Now, generator, let's have a look at the order of our contains. Oh, okay, so we used a dictionary. So capitals, lowers, symbols, numbers. Okay, so what we're going to do in our interface is we need to make that contains dictionary. So we're going to say contains equals a dictionary here. And we are going to say our first one is going to be capitals. Okay, so I'm going to change the text there, and I'm going to call this capitals. And that is going to be an int var. Oh, int car, int var. And now we're going to do the same for symbols and numbers. So we will do a string as symbols. We will also set that as an int var, and we'll do the same for numbers. Int var. Now, did I give them capital letters in generator? No, I didn't. So let's not do that here. Let's just take away the capital letter here. Were they plural? So much to consider. Capitals, lowers, symbols, numbers. Yeah, great. I guess we should also have lowers in here. Let's put lowers here. This really annoys me that I called them lowers and capitals rather than lowers and uppers. And we're just going to set that to true. Okay, so we're always going to package this with having lowercase letters. So here, where we have variable, variable. Maybe that's what I want for my label. We can have a look at that and go back to it. So our variable here is going to be contains, and then capitals. Yeah. And then we can pass off this contains when we press we haven't put the button in yet, but when we press generate, we can pass that thing off, and it will contain whether these have been ticked or not, right? And I don't think we should have to change anything, because one could technically be interpreted as true, and 0 could technically be interpreted as false. But let's see. So we're going to take this, we're going to get rid of this sticky, and we're just going to say grid row equals 0, 1, 2. We're going to say row equals 3 here, and we're going to say column equals 0. I guess we could do with a label for this as well. Yeah, let's get this in first, and then we will start looking at that. So we don't need this var1 equals int var. We can get rid of that. So we've got our first check button here. Actually, we need to say tk.check button. Okay, and instead of master, we need frame here. Put it in the frame. Lovely. So let's copy this and paste it down here. And instead of capitals this time, we can add text. Okay, great. So we don't need a label. That's fantastic. So I've only been staring at it for like 5 minutes. So we can do symbols and then contains symbols. And then we'll just update the grid. So rather than being in column 0, we'll put this in column 1. And let's just have a look at how we are looking right now. Oh, it doesn't like this. Int var is not defined. Where is it? Capitals, int var. Oh, okay, I need to put tk dot. Oh, silly me. Tk dot and tk dot. Okay, there we go. Right, great. Now it should just work. Should just be great. Lovely. Look at this, capitals, symbols, and I can tick or I can untick. This is fantastic. Okay, so we've got capitals, we've got symbols, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add in numbers. Oh, didn't mean to do that. What did I do? I don't know. I don't know what I did. So this is going to be numbers. So we're going to say numbers and then lowercase numbers. Got grid, and we're going to put this in column 2. Now, I probably could have been much more thoughtful with this and put this in a loop. Yeah, I could have, couldn't I? But that's okay. That's okay. We'll just leave. It's nice to have things laid out. So we've got our capitals, our symbols, and our numbers now. And so we can tick them and we can untick them to choose whether we want them included or not. This is great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to need a button, right? We're going to need a cancel button and we're going to need a generate button. We already have cancel and something. So here we've got cancel button, login button. So I'm just going to take them. Just going to take them. There's no need to reinvent the wheel here. Copy those, and then they'll be at the bottom because they're at the bottom of our app here. So we're going to say login button equals tk button frame text equals login. Rather than login, we're going to say generate. And instead of login button, we're going to call this generate button. And generate button. Okay, what row do I want this on? I want this on row 4 and column 1. Let's do column 0. And let's do a column span of 2. This might be interesting. And so then it will take up kind of 2 spaces, and then our column here will go in column 2, and that should be fine. And row 4. Okay, so our cancel button, we want it to go back to the main menu, and we want it to reset the values. So the values that we want it to reset, I guess, are just going to be our password value. So our password output, we just want to reset that so it's cleared. So we can come here and we can just put password value in this array. Password output, sorry. Okay, fantastic. So that's our cancel button. That looks good. That looks fine. Our generate button, generate, and we need to change its function. So rather than logging in, we need to generate, and that comes from generator.py. So up here, we need to import generator. And what's the function? We want to say generator.generate password, get secure password. We do all of this. We do all of that. Yeah, so actually what we want what we want to do is we probably want to comment this out now. Oh, we put a mode in last time, didn't we, for other functions? Let's do that. So get secure password. We're going to give it a value. We're going to give it, what did we do for the other one? Authentication, wasn't it, for our login? We made it so that we could switch between whether we're using the console or whether we're using the, yeah, so look, we've got username equals none, password equals none, and then we use the console if we've not passed those in. So let's do the same for our generator. Let's say get secure passwords, and then we're going to say, let's just say GUI equals none. And if our GUI equals none, then we'll do all of this. If our GUI double equals none, I really don't like not having spaces, double equals none, then we're going to ask the user for input. We're going to check if it's the right length. We're going to make this contains dictionary. We're going to do all of that. Okay, if it's not, either way, if it is or if it isn't, we're going to do the password thing. And then we're going to go back into here and we're going to say if GUI equals none, and we're also going to do all of this. Else, we're just going to return our password. I don't need to put it in an else. I could if I wanted to, but it's not strictly necessary. So that should just be fine. So generator.getSecurePassword. Okay, so we're just trying to keep it nice and kind of similar and parallel. So down here, we're going to say in our command, in our login button, instead of login, not our login button, our generate password button, we're going to say generator.get secure password, and we are going to set our GUI to true. We could give it anything, right? It just mustn't be none. It must have something there, and that's fine. So that's going to do that. But actually, what we want to do is we want to do more than that. We want to take this secure password and we want to update our text box with it. So we actually want to create our own function in this UI that calls this function here. So we're going to say generate password, generate. I can't spell. I can't use a keyboard. It's too difficult. We're going to say generate password. Now, I haven't already called something that, have I? Generate password screen. No, okay, that's fine. So we're going to write a generate password function. So just like we have a login function up here, we're also going to have a def generate password function. And our generate password function, actually, we don't want to pass in true. We want to pass in our length and what it contains. Yeah. And in our generator function, we want here, instead of saying GUI equals none, we're going to say length equals none, and our contains equals none. And if they do equal none, if length equals none, and again, really it shouldn't be one or the other. Contains equals none. And we're going to do all of this. Otherwise, we'll generate it down here using what we passed in. And then the same here. If there's still none, then we're going to return that password or return false to keep our console app working if we want to use it. Otherwise, we are just going to return the password. So that's fine. So now in our interface, we are going to come here and we're going to say password equals generator.getSecurePassword, and we're going to give it length and contains. Now we need to be given length and contains. And we also need to be given the password field. So we're going to say password, I think I called it output. And then we're going to update that password output. So we're going to say password output dot set, and we're going to set, what we're going to set? We're going to set it to password. And that should populate it with the password we just created. This should just work. It should just. Oh, okay, right. Let's go down to where we're generating our password here. So generate button. We are going to change this to generate password, and we need to give it the length, the contains, and the password output. Generate password. Okay, fantastic. So that all looks fine. Let's see if it works. Oh, buttons are here. Generate is kind of in the middle there, you can see. So maybe we could make that a little bit wider. This is width 7. Maybe I'll make it width like 15. So it's like the dominant button. There we go. It's a big generate button there. I could also like change the color of it and make it kind of stand out more. Can I do BG? BG equals green. Is that a thing? That would look really clever if it was a thing. Okay, yeah, it does have a green background, but then the button's over the top of it. So, okay, I clicked it and it didn't like it. For int var and int. Okay, that's awkward. So rather than int var, then what we'll do? Oh, no, that's length. Yeah, it's not liking the length. So what we'll do is we'll do. What am I doing wrong? I need to say. I need to say .get, don't I? I need to get their values. And that's the same with length as well. So when I generate password here, I need to say length.get. And I think we're going to have the same problem with our int vars. Ooh. It is kind of green. It's kind of green. Okay, lovely. It worked. Fantastic. So now if I put this up and I turn on like symbols, do I get symbols? No, I do not get symbols. Okay, this is something though. So I can do this. Okay, the password box needs to be much longer because I can't display it all. So let's just change that. Let's go over to our generate passwords, our password field. So where is it? It's our entry here, password output. We've got our entry and we said width 10. Let's do width 20. And let's just run this and have a look. Okay, you can see that's actually pushed the size of the column now, and it is much longer. What we probably want to do is give it a column span of 2. So we're going to say column span equals 2, and we should probably do the same with our. No, let's keep length as it is. Actually, it will look nicer if this is much bigger than our length then, and our length can actually be smaller. It feels a bit too big, like it's encouraging people to put really big numbers in, which obviously we don't want. So that's probably a bit more appropriate. So I should be able to turn this up to like 20 now. Tick symbols, press generate. Okay, so we're getting all of our lowercase. Now the way we're packaging this up, it's just not working. So what I think we need to do is in our generator here, passwords equals generate passwords, we actually need to do something slightly different if we are using the UI. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to get rid of this if, and I'm going to shunt this into here. And so this whole block of code is only if we're using the command line. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our own special code for or if it's not that. If it's not that. Okay, so we'll do else, and then we'll do our own special code. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop through our contains object. So we're going to, or dictionary. So we're going to go for key, could be any word, but key in contains. We are going to say contains key is equal to contains key dot get, and we'll just get that value, and let's just print it out as well. Let's just print out what that is. Contains key equals contains key dot get. Let's just run that and see what happens. Didn't like that. Bool object has no attribute get. Okay, so what we need to do, one of these is set to true, right? So we need to say if key does not equal true and key does not equal false, then we're going to say contains key equals contains get. Okay, lovely. So let's try that. Generate. No, bool has no attribute get. Okay. If, oh, not key, if contains key. Right, here we go. Generate 0, 0, 0. Fantastic. Okay, so now what we can do is we should be able to say bool and convert it to a Boolean, right? So now if I hit run, hit generate, false, 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 but if I tick symbols, why aren't you doing it again? Why are you printing again? That's really thrown me, as you can probably tell. So that returned that, and that should all just work. Okay, so let's just stop the app and run it again. Now let's tick symbols and press generate. Great, so you can see false, true, false. So that is working, and that's doing its thing. But then it looks like we're never getting back to here when we press generate again for some reason. So we're saying for key in contains, if contains key does not equal true, then we're converting it to that. So that should just work. So let's try this again. So capitals, numbers, let's up the amount here, generate. Okay, so I've got numbers and I've got capitals, fantastic. Now what if I add in symbols, generate? No, it's still on capitals and numbers, which is really weird. Why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? It's probably because contains isn't being updated. Ah, okay, yeah. So actually what we need to do is we need a second dictionary. So we're going to go through all the keys and contains. I hate that variable name. I do apologize. Let's call this. No, let's keep it at contains. And let's make a new variable called something like. I'm tempted to call it underscore contains, but that's not very good practice. Let's call it. My brain has stopped working. We need to call it something. We need to call it. I don't know. Let's call it options. Okay, options equals an empty dictionary, and then we're going to say our options at this key. So if our contains key isn't true and it isn't false, then we're going to say our options at this key is equal to the Boolean of whatever's in contains at that key dot get. Okay, so we're not overwriting what's in contains. We're allowing that to stay whatever it is. And then we are just creating a new dictionary, right? And then we're going to pass that dictionary here. Rather than contains in here, we're going to pass it as options. So if I stop this and run it now, we should be able to bump this up to, let's do like 20 and choose, let's choose symbols and generate. And it doesn't work. If contains lowers, key error lowers. Okay, right, yep. So for key in contains, we're going to say options at key is equal to contains at key. And then if it's not equal to true and if it's not equal to false, then we'll update that once again with the Boolean version of contains. Right, so we just need this little line here, options key equals contains key. Bear with me, we're getting there, we're getting there. Okay, so let's run this and let's pop in something like 20. We'll add in some symbols, press generate. Great, fantastic. Oh no, I didn't want symbols. I wanted numbers and capitals. Generate. It works! Fantastic. Okay, this is so good. So I could add in symbols as well. Generate. I've now got capital symbols and numbers. Oh, what a joy. What a joy to behold. We are programmers by the skin of our teeth. We're doing it. Okay, so if we tick nothing, we just got random string of lowercase letters. But then we can configure whatever we want to get this. And then I can just literally highlight this and I can copy it. Now, actually, interestingly enough, if I've actually had this tab open because I wanted to show you it. If I zoom in on this Stack Overflow article here, you can see that TK has its own way of copying something to the clipboard. Now, I don't know if it will work on repl.it. So if you're using repl.it, I'm not sure. You could test it, try it out. But this, if you're working at home, rather than using a different library, Tkinter, or whatever it's called, has this stored in. So if at this stage you wanted to add in like a little, maybe like a little button at the end here that like you can click to copy that password to your clipboards, then that would, you could do that, and Tkinter will actually let you do that. So we can press cancel, and that takes us back to the login screen. Actually, what cancel should do there is take us back to the main menu. So let's go back to our interface and let's go down to our cancel button. Rather than taking us to main menu, we want to go to account menu. Okay, so I now press cancel and I'm at my account menu. Fantastic. And if I press generate password, doesn't take me anywhere. So let's link that up now. That's the last piece of this puzzle. So let's go to our generate no, let's go to our account menu. And we want the command for our generate password button to be lambda. I'm going to say change frame. And we are going to give it generate password. That's not what I called it, is it? That's not what I called it. Generate password, yeah, that's great. Believe in yourself. Okay, so now if I run this, okay, I should be able to press cancel and then press generate password again. Okay, lovely. So now I'm going between these different frames. This is fantastic. So now I can do this. I can manipulate that, click that, generate my passwords. I can copy this if I wanted to, and then I could cancel out. I guess maybe cancel not the right word. Maybe back is a better word rather than cancel. It just feels like cancel feels like quite negative, whereas back is probably more helpful. So let's call this back. And let's call this back. Because cancel really, it's just when you're doing something and you don't want to actually do it, you want to cancel out. Whereas when we generate our passwords, we generate our passwords and then we've got it, but we don't want to cancel. We want to go back to then do something with this password. So let's just run this again, make sure that's changed. And that's working. Yep, so we've got a back button here. Fantastic. Oh, this is working so nicely. Now, I've moved at a snail's pace through this, and I apologise. I was hoping to get a lot more done than I have this version. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to finish this on your own. Okay, I'm not going to take you through any more of this. I've showed you everything I need to in order for you to be able to complete this app, and I want you to take it on as a personal challenge to get the retrieve passwords and the store password buttons actually working and not just crashing when we do the app. We've written all the functionality in our functions. You should have a fair idea about how things work and where things are, having spent so much time with this application. But I don't think that it is worth your time watching me blunder my way through it, when it would be valuable for you to blunder your way through it and start learning about how these things work. So I'm going to leave that open to you. I am hoping to do a new Let's Code series where we develop a new app. We'll be using Takinta again, and and hopefully look at a different style of programming as well at the same time. I've kept this very functional, so you'll notice that everything we've done here is functions. And there is a style of programming called object-oriented programming, which, if I'd used it here, would have made my life a lot easier, and is something that I would like to introduce into the next Let's Code series. My plan is to involve a barcode scanner, and it's going to involve books. So that's my plan, or DVDs, CDs, whatever. That's kind of my plan for going forwards. I'm going to leave this password manager here. I will complete this in my own time. So if you did want to go to repl.it at mrjohnson2/password manager, by after, 15th of February 2021, hopefully by March 2021, this should be an actual working UI. And you can come here and see it, but hopefully you will have programmed your own, and there'll be no need for you to come and visit mine, because you will have one and it will look better than mine as well, and you'll have explored a little bit about how you can make things look prettier and better generally, and hopefully that will be great. Thank you so much for following along with me in this series. I really hope that you've got something out of it, and it's been reasonably enjoyable, and I hope to see you in my next Let's Code series. Sweet, take care, and see you in the next one.